TheTDShow.com.
Here goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game.
2 hours of the best sports talk on the planet. Or at least out of Edmonton, Kentucky.
Bat it up. Oh my! Stokely down the sideline. Can he catch up? Stokely. Wow! Touchdown! Denver! Unbelievable!
Coming to you live, your hosts, TJ and Dan.
Here goes the rain!
Welcome back to the TD Show. Had a little technical difficulties there in the intro, not real sure what was going on. But today on the show, the proposed Nick Saban rule, Johnny Football Double Dog dares the Houston Texans, Jeets announces his retirement in the future, we preview a packed college basketball weekend, and discuss the wrap-up of regular season high school basketball. I'll give you my weekly guarantee regarding March Madness. Daniel will provide you with what to watch, and you can't forget Paula Dan coming up in the second hour of the show.
Don't forget, you can still reach us on Facebook at facebook.com/TheTDShow. Our Twitter handle is @TheTDShow. You can email the show at mail@thetdshow.com. You can listen to us live at thetdshow.com on the live feed, and you can still listen to us at Spreaker.com/user/TDShow or on the Spreaker app. If you're not able to listen or watch us live today in our entirety, you can listen or watch us live later on our podcast page at thetdshow.com or on Spreaker.com. We'll have all those linked on our website, though, so you can just go to our website and check it out. Remember, we'll be looking for your comments and questions on Twitter and Facebook. But if you want to, what we'd really like you to do is give us a call. Number's 502-509-3190. Call us with your questions. Anything you want to talk about. We got a lot of things going on this week with the Olympics and things coming out about Richie Incognito and Johnny Football and new rules in NFL, new rules in college, new rules and any sport you want to talk about. Give us a call and we'll do it. And also, don't forget to vote on our poll up live on our website this morning. The poll is: are you in favor to or opposed of the? I can't talk this morning. Are you in favor?
You got the lagging on the computer, you got the lagging in your mind. It's just
Are you in favor of or opposed to the Nick Saban rule in college football, where they want to put sort of like a 10-second minimum? You have to wait before you can do it. So vote on that on our website, and we'll get to it. Starting off this morning, since we're talking about it, let's go there.
The committee has a proposed rule to allow defensive players a substitute within the first 10 seconds of the 40-second play clock, excluding the final 2 minutes of each half. So, essentially, when the ball gets spotted, you've got to stand there 10 seconds and let the defense do something if they want to. And there's a lot of ins and outs of this story. The first thing is, we call it the Nick Saban rule because a lot of people said that he's the one that has brought it up.
It was Nick Saban and Arkansas' head coach that spoke on its behalf, I think.
Right, and I knew they were at the committee meeting, but I didn't read until this morning that they actually called the committee meeting. Yeah, they called and asked the NCAA to look at this.
Well, it had been proposed in the past,
right?
And nothing happened, and they called and asked them to look at it again.
And here's something kind of comical about it. If the offense snaps the ball during that first 10 seconds, do you know what flag gets thrown?
What flag?
A delay of game penalty flag. You get a delay of game for snapping the ball early.
I would imagine it would have been an illegal procedure, but whatever.
But here's the thing: they're trying to say that this is for player safety, and if it is, then show me the study that says more plays lead to more injuries.
Yeah.
Because I heard somebody from the committee comment that it's common sense that more plays would lead to more injuries. Well, that's fine, but let's look at Denver, Philadelphia in the NFL, and let's look at Auburn in college last year. 3 teams that ran the most.
And Oregon. Stay healthy.
Yeah. I mean, you don't see a lot of injuries with them. So before you say it's just common sense, why don't we look at the numbers and see?
Yeah, I haven't looked up any numbers. I thought about it. I just never actually looked at the team stats for injuries for teams that run these. But just going back to my mind and thinking about it, you think about Philadelphia, who ran the most plays in the NFL, and they didn't really have anybody good.
Right.
Well, they had a quarterback hurt, but he was hurt to begin with. You think about Denver, their offense ran a lot of plays. They didn't have any offensive injuries after the season started. They had 2 training camp injuries. No key player on their offense got injured all year long. Defense.
Well, Wes Welker with the concussion, but I mean, you can't really contribute that
No, that's
to
not-
running more plays.
And no, so I don't see it. And I actually heard that Oregon was one of the healthiest teams over the past 5 years, and they kind of initiated this offense.
Right.
You know, they kind of pushed it to its next level under Chip Kelly. So I don't know that I agree with it at all.
Well, it gives less deep teams a chance to play with the big
Right.
boys. So, I mean, just because you don't win 6 national championships in a row doesn't mean you can go to the committee and say, look, this is hurting me. I can't go 13, 14, and 0 this year. I need y'all to pass this rule to help me out.
Well, the opposite to that, though, is that any coach in the NCAA can go to the committee and ask that. Now, I know not any coach is going to get the reception that Nick Saban
Exactly.
get, but anybody else could have went and said, look, I mean, I'm not in favor of the rule, but I'm not opposed to Nick Saban doing this. I think Nick Saban knows he's going to have to change. He's going to have to evolve. I think that's probably why he brought in Lane Kiffin. He wants to try and get a pro-style offense going. But I mean, you can't hurt a guy for trying. That's like a coach that, you know, if you watch Calipari on the sideline, he's asking for intentional fouls a lot, and he knows he's not going to get them. But you can't blame a guy for trying. So I'm not faulting Nick Saban for his attempt. But if he refuses to change and uses this as an excuse for losses, then I'll fault him for that.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Okay.
What is the job of a college or a university?
Prepare you for a workplace. Prepare you for
Whatever your
your life.
career's
The rest
gonna
of
be.
your life,
Right.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Now, what offense do we see run more and more in the NFL?
Lately, it's becoming the fast-paced
So,
college offense.
Why would you ban this type of offense if you're trying to prepare guys
I agree.
for the next level?
And I mean, even that, look at the popularity of college football over the past
Right.
15 years. It gets
makes the
more
game
and
more
popular
exciting.
every year. Yeah, I agree. And this is sort of the thing that's been done in college for a long time, a lot longer than it's been done in the pros. It's become more popular the past 5 or so years when it's switched to the pro game, and we're seeing that, you know, that pistol offense or that spread read offense moving to the pro game. But the West Coast has been running this offense for 50 years. This isn't a new
Right.
thing. It's just now made it to back down to the Southeastern Conference.
And the committee cited something in their favor that there is a very large percentage of snaps before 10 seconds,
Right.
which is correct, but doesn't support the rule in that you can hurry up to the line and you can sit there and read the defense for that 10 seconds. So now what you're going to get is you got the substitutions for the first 10 seconds, and then you got the reading of the defense the 10 seconds after that.
Right.
And I mean, the defense already has an advantage in that they can move all 11 guys at the same time if they want to. They can put as many guys on the line as they want to.
Right, and you can't run an offense until you get set. You can run offense players in until you get set. When you come up to the
Right.
line, you can't run offense
Right,
players
and
in.
you can move one player at a time.
Right.
So, I think there's already. I know that it's been talked for a few years now about all the advantages of going to the offense, but I believe this would be a huge advantage going to defense, more than all the rule changes in the past 5 years combined going to the offense.
And not so much even the change to the defense. I think it's going to be it hurt defense. I think it's going to hurt fans more than it hurts defenses, because these coaches, what they're going to do on a 35-second clock, they're going to walk up there and they're not going to do anything. They're going to stand in a huddle at the line for 10 seconds before they break out, not give those defenses a chance to sub anybody in. So that's going to give every single play, you're going to have 10 seconds of standing. It's going to shorten the game. It's going to limit scoring. And I don't see it's going to lengthen the game. Excuse me. It's going to limit scoring, and it's just going to be a lose-lose for the fans that come to watch these games. It's going to be a lose-lose for the athletes who are trying to go to the next level. I don't see that it's actually going to help anything. I don't see that it's actually going to change the kind of offenses that's being run against people like Nick Saban. Because, like I said, you're going to have a 10-second something. They're going to run in circles. They're going to do something to throw you off, or you can't read them for those 10 seconds.
And the thing is, like Peyton Manning at Denver now, he starts a drive. He sees the defense that's out there. He huddles that first time, tells his guys 3 plays.
Yeah.
Say, we got these 3 plays we're working with. We see the defense that's there. So now and he can go down the field and audible to one of those 3 plays, judging on where those players are on the field.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, that's totally, you got to throw that out altogether because you could bring in 11 linemen if you wanted to. Obviously, you might run a different play than those 3.
Well, you can still check down. I mean, if somebody brings in 11 linemen,
Yes.
it's obvious you're going to check down and just chuck that sucker
Right.
40 yards.
But you get the idea of what I'm saying. You're going to have to change completely what you're
going to
doing.
completely change offensive schemes in the play calling aspect. Not their schemes as percentage of run passes or how they run their plays. It's going to change their schemes into how they set up their plays and how they call their plays.
I mean, do you believe that they believe that this is a safety issue?
No, not at all. I don't believe it at all. I don't know why Saban is doing this. He is going to get.
Well, he's doing it so he can be better.
But listen, he's going to get the best players in Alabama. He did it again this year.
Right.
He's going to
The deepest team. He has the deepest team, so he wants to be able to substitute.
but he's going to figure it out. He is arguably one of the best coaches in the nation right now.
What's the 2 teams
Oh, I know.
had the most trouble with?
I know, but
A&M,
surely he can figure
Auburn.
it out. I don't know. It's frustrating to me. I just can't. I don't know why he is kind of stooped to this. It's like saying this is Nick Saban who's always held himself a little higher, saying, "Look, I can't figure it out."
I mean, it's him bowing out. That's exactly what it is.
And I don't like that. I mean, I always had a pretty high level of respect for Saban. I mean, he's always carried himself in a pretty good way. He's been kind of kind of like the Bill Belichick of college football.
Exactly.
And you turned the volume way. There we go. Now you can hear me.
Yeah. But I mean, for him to do this, to look back on the past 2 years and say, what has caused me to lose? A&M, Auburn. What can I do to beat them? Instead of doing something on my team side or the playbook side, he says, just go to the committee. Say, hey, they should be able to run that offense.
And I think even if this rule gets enacted, it won't stay. I think it'll be a 2 or 3 year thing. And I think maybe that's what Nick wants because Nick is about 6 years ahead of. He knows who's going to be playing for him at least 5 years in advance of when they're actually playing. He picks people out their junior year of high school, and then he knows their junior year of college they're going to be a starter on his team. That's the kind of body he wants. He needs about 4 years to get his system turned back around and get those quicker guys in there. But I think this is what he's trying to do is buy some time.
I mean, don't you think if he's going to try to run that style of offense, he's got to get somebody in there to do it to try to recruit the top? Because I don't think if there's a 5-star quarterback or 5-star running back or 5-star wide receiver out there that wants to run this offense, that they go to him.
No.
I think they go to A&M or Florida State or Auburn, somewhere other than the power, run the ball up the middle offense.
Yeah, I think that you look next year, and I think Florida State might have the best recruiting class. Just Jimbo Fisher, he's got something going on there, and I think he's going to knock Nick off his throne there as having the top recruiting class the past 5 or 6 years.
And, I mean, obviously they don't need it near as much as Alabama needed to compete. So I think as upset as Saban is this year about not being able to win the championship, I think we'll see even more frustration next year because I think Auburn and Florida State could potentially both beat them next year if it came to it.
And I mean, you look at Texas A&M. I mean, they're going to keep running that offense against them. It's just something they're going to have to learn to live with. And I think the past couple of years they haven't done a good job. I really do believe. But listen, this is why Nick said he didn't want to go to the NFL because he didn't want to start over. He didn't want to start over. He's going to have to start.
Sometimes you got to change.
He's going to have to start his defense over. You can have a power defense, and that's going to win you 8 or 9 games a year. If you have an up front, in your face, knock you down, run-stopping defense, you're going to have a winning record every year in college football.
Well, 4 or 5 years ago, you could win undefeated. But that's just not realistic.
Exactly. But to win national championships, to win 16 games or 15 games like Alabama's used to doing, you're going to have to make some adjustments, Nick. And that's what I think. I hold him in a very high regard, but I cannot believe he stooped to this. When I read,
I mean, I think me and you both probably think that before he did this, he was the best coach in college football.
Oh, I agree.
And now you kind of just look at him and think,
Gus Malzahn's looking better and better.
Okay, but do you think this gets passed? Do you think this proposal gets passed?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it'll go through.
See, that's what I thought first, but just thinking about it, how much pull Nick Saban has, I mean, I think it's a possibility. At first, when I saw it, I was like, no way. There's no way this gets. And this,
Well, I read the commissioner of officials for the NCAA's comments on it, and he said that they were only looking at the player safety side. If they proved that it helped player safety, then they would do it. And I don't know that they can prove that.
yeah, but when you got guys coming out of that committee and saying, well, it's common sense that more plays lead to more injuries.
Yeah.
You've got to wonder. I mean,
Yeah.
are they drinking the juice there? Nick Saban's pouring them.
We know he's a good motivator. I mean, he can't be a college football coach without being a good motivator and persuasive speaker. So I don't know. We'll find out.
I mean, it could come out in 2 months that we're wrong, that they did a study and that more plays do lead to more injuries, but I don't think we see it. I mean, I could be wrong.
I'll tell you when you see the most injuries in football is about the first drive after halftime. When you stay active and stay moving, your joints get loose, your muscles stay loose, everything is kind of oiled up and greased up. It's that first or second drive after halftime, those first 6 or 7 minutes, that's when you see the most injuries. So I don't foresee that this is really going to cause any less injuries to happen.
Well, we were talking about Texas A&M running this offense. Certainly somebody that's gave Nick Saban a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Manziel comes out and says, if the Houston Texans pass on me in the draft, it will be the worst decision they've ever made as a franchise. I'll be playing them twice a year. Sorry, but you turned my chip on my shoulder from a Frito into a Dorito. I'm not real sure what that means.
I liked it. I thought it was a pretty good quote. I don't know what it means either, but I liked it.
So, I mean, I don't know what the difference is between a Frito and a Dorito. If a Frito's chill and a Dorito gets kind
Well,
of...
a Frito is a lot smaller than a Dorito, if maybe that's what he was trying to say. I mean, he
Yeah.
hangs out with a lot of rappers. I mean, I don't know. But I see what he's saying. I mean, he's saying point blank, I want to go to Houston. Draft me in Houston. If you don't, I'm going to make you pay. And listen, if he goes to Jacksonville, he's going to be the starter. He's going to start and he's going to play against Houston. He might have rethinked those words when he has J.J. Watt and Brian Cushing staring him down across the line. But I see his point. He's saying, I'm going to go to Jacksonville if you don't draft me, and I'm going to start, and I'm going to beat the crap out of you. And I mean, I like it, but I don't know if that's the way you come off to a team, and that's the way you get drafted by a team. They're going to go through the combine, and all that physical stuff probably doesn't mean much to quarterbacks aside from arm strength. We know he's got arm strength. What they're going to look at is when they set him in that room with that whiteboard, and they go through and they judge his character, they judge how he reads things, and if you've already made them mad and they're going to ask you the toughest questions they can come up with, you're not helping yourself.
Well, you mentioned his arm strength. I actually read it came out yesterday evening, and he won't throw at the combine. And I also saw where Blake Bortles out of Central Florida, A.J. McCarron out of Florida, or out of Alabama, and Derek Carr out of Fresno State, all three say they're not going to throw too.
I can understand that. And here's
because I mean you got the receivers that you've never
thrown
played
to.
right.
And if you look at some of the passes that he's made some long passes and he's thrown some hard balls. He really has nothing to prove at the combine. All that can happen is bad things when you start throwing at the combine. If you're someone who's known as a running quarterback and you don't know that people don't know much about your arm and you come into the combine, then you want to throw the ball. You want to get out there and people will see you. People like A.J. McCarron, who's already had some questions about his arm strength, and people like Blake Bortles and Johnny Manziel, who we know can throw the ball pretty well, have a cannon arm, they have nothing to gain by throwing there. What they do, when they get in their own routes, they can set up exactly how they want to do it at their pro day. They're going to be able to showcase what they're best at, which is what they want to do. They don't have anything to gain by throwing at that combine, so I don't knock any of the four there.
Well, Blake Bortles and A.J. McCarron and Carr I can understand because we know they can throw the ball. Right, they have everything to lose. But with A.J. McCarron, he has a lot to lose, but he has a lot to gain.
He does.
There isn't much proof with him that he can throw the ball.
I agree. Of the four, I think he probably, at least in what we've seen, of course, he's in a system that he doesn't need to throw it as far and wing it like Manziel and Bortles did. But he has the most to prove about his throwing ability. He looks like he'd have a strong arm. He's built like a quarterback, but I don't know how well he can throw it.
I think maybe the ink to blood ratio in his upper body somehow lowers his upper body strength throwing the football.
I mean, they could have a lot of iron in there. It's building up his muscle mass. I don't know.
That's true too. Just to go back to Johnny Manziel real quick. Here's another quote from him. I want them to say absolutely, without a doubt, with 100% certainty that I'm who they want. I want everybody from the janitor at Reliance Stadium to the front office executive assistant, all the way up to the owner, Bob McNair, to say this kid is 100%, can't miss. This is who we want being the face of our program. We want this Texas kid staying in Texas and leading the Texans.
He's got a point.
You think maybe he had some issues growing up as a kid? Maybe his parents didn't hug him enough?
I mean, from all accounts, his parents were pretty well off, but his dad isn't a great guy. I mean, he's not a really
This is like,
guy.
love me. Come out and love me. I need it. I need to love.
Well, you know he's got an agent, and you know that he's kind of being guided on what to say, and I see what he's trying to say. What he's trying to say is that I want to be in Texas. I want to be a Texas man. I know this much about it. I know your owner. I know your stadium. I know what goes on there.
I know you got janitors.
I fit in your system. Pick me. We can see this is a kid that really wants to go there. I want to know what happens if he gets drafted somewhere like Oakland. What's he going to do then?
I told you what I'd do. I'd say no way.
Yeah.
I might not play baseball yet, but I'm going to play this game.
Figure it out. Yeah. Somebody get me a glove.
Speaking of the two sport athletes, I heard again this week, Jameis Winston, incredibly serious about the two sport deal.
Yeah.
I know we've heard him make the comment before, but I just don't think that unless you're a closer, but still, I don't see any GM or head coach in the NFL saying, you know what, for 162 games, you can go play baseball. Can you imagine a GM or a head coach telling their franchise quarterback they don't need him around for a while, just take the summer off?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, back in the 80s, 70s, this happened. There's not so much money involved then that it was crazy to think, and people were... I just don't think that anybody is going to let him do that.
Well, it's different in that Bo was a running back.
Yeah.
And he chased balls down in the outfield. So he got handed the ball, he chased the ball, he hit a ball. And Dion hit a ball, caught a ball. That's a lot different than being a franchise quarterback
And a pitcher.
And a pitcher, and having to you gotta scout hitters and you gotta scout defenses. There's a lot more involved from the mental aspect of being a quarterback pitcher as opposed to a running
I don't know
back.
if either one of them are part-time jobs, I think is what you're saying.
Right.
Being a quarterback and being a MLB pitcher is not a part-time job. I mean, that's why they only pitch once every 5 days.
Right. The closer maybe with a position other than quarterback because your arm's getting used a lot less.
And you know what your job is. You're not scouting hitters as a closer. You're coming in, you're throwing heat, slider, heat. That's what you're going to do. Every batter, people know what to expect, and your job is to beat them. Your job is to throw it past them, Aroldis Chapman style.
But that's still, you're going to be there as opposed to studying defenses across the NFL.
I agree.
I mean, can you imagine Peyton Manning not studying for 162 days during the summer, going?
Well, it's a lot longer than 162 days.
Well,
yeah,
you get my point.
But yes, I see what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't think there is one day in the year that Peyton Manning doesn't look at something football related.
Super Bowl.
I
He
guarantee
wins one.
Guarantee it. He looks at something. I guarantee the day after the Super Bowl win or lose, he's in there seeing what he did wrong the day after.
Yeah.
Every day of the year.
I'd say you're probably right. Who do you think's the hardest studying pitcher in the major leagues? Who can we compare him to?
Well, I know who would have been.
Who?
Just went into the Hall of Fame. Greg Maddux.
Yeah.
Because when you're not throwing 95, you better be studying to be that good.
That's what I was going to say. Greg Maddux probably been the
Yeah.
Peyton Manning, the cerebral pitcher of Major League Baseball.
I completely agree with that. We still got some Jonathan Martin, Richie Incognito talk to get to. It came out yesterday. Coming back from the break, we'll also talk a little Sochi, talk a little MLB, Derek Jeter retirement, talk about the Braves, another off-season signing, talk about Matt Latos and Mike Trout. So we're up against the break here. Remember, if you're listening to us on Spreaker or if you're listening to the audio on the TD show, you need to refresh your browser in about 5 minutes. If you're listening to the live feed or watching the live feed, just stay right there and you'll get a behind the scene look. We'll be back in about 5.